Everybody's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. And I'm making some quick stalagmites for my game tonight because I just didn't have enough for what I wanted. And I was like, oh shit, I should probably show people how I do that in case they don't know or in case they just need an idea. So all you need is like a piece of, this is just board game board. You know, like you could use checkers or chess or anything you can get at Goodwill. This is from some Wizards game that my buddy gave me that had some miniatures in it. Oh, I need to get new knives, or at least dig in the drawer and find one that's not so dull. So all I'm doing is getting that piece of game board and cutting it into a kind of rough, rounded off shape. I'm getting a little piece of tin foil. And when I roll up my tin foil, I'm kind of folding it like this. Notice like the one side of the tin foil is like shinier than the other. I try to put the shinier on the inside, but I don't always remember to. And then I'm going to roll this up kind of like a cone. And then twist it down. And depending on how thick you make it, you can kind of get different looks. Then I'm just going to get some hot glue. Put it on the bottom. Shove it on my base. Kind of mush it in there. Get it how I want it to look permanently. Then I just kind of come around the bottom a little bit with some glue. Get a good bond. Just like that. Okay. And then I want this to be kind of permanent on here. So I'm going to get some super glue. I'm just going to put a few drops on there. Get a piece of cardstock as a spatula. Spread that around. Just like that. I'm going to set my spatula off to the side and get some baking soda and some rocks. You don't have to do rocks. I'm just going to get one kind of medium-sized rock here and set that in place. And you could even put some small pebbles or whatever on there. You could make that indicate that this is rough terrain. But if you do that, I would recommend that you kind of put them in spots where you could still put a miniature on that base if you wanted to. So you can see what I have here now. Okay. Get my rocks back over there. Then I'm going to hold it by the stalagmite. You can see I got a little texture on my base now. And then let's see if I have a HeroClix lid laying around. Here we go. And where did I put that piece of cardstock I was using for a spatula at? And I want to kind of rub that in around here the best I can. And I want to make sure I don't get it, I don't have to get it in every inch, but I want to get it on here enough to where I'm going to get some good surface coverage when I dip this in my baking soda, because spray paint doesn't want to stick to tin foil real well. And I just put a HeroClix base or a piece of cardboard or something under here to catch any glue that drips. I didn't have any that time, but I usually do some sloppy. Then I'm just going to do a pass on here. Sometimes I do two if I need to, but it looks like on this one we got a Pretty good coverage on here. Nope, look at that. We need to get some here. Paint that around a little bit better. And then we'll go do one more hit up there. Okay. Then I just glue that to a paint lid. And that becomes my stalagmite. The reason that you can remember stalagmite and stalactite easier is stalactites hang tight from the ceiling, and stalagmites might grow up to be big one day. And it's funny that I just said it like that, because actually I think I've made a video on this before now that I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I've made so many videos. So I want to paint these. I spray painted these black, but you'll see there's some silver showing and stuff underneath. And that's because I just rushed and hit them just to make sure I had something to bond to. So I'm going to get my favorite color on earth, pavement. I'm going to get this pill bottle lid. I'm just using a crappy brush. I'm going to paint these in pavement. And my pavement's pretty wet already, so I'm not going to add any water to it, but you might want to add some to yours to make sure you get it in all the cracks and everything, you know. But see how wet mine is? It's just behaving immediately for me. This kind of stuff is really good for populating your caves and whatnot. You can even use this exterior to be weird pillars, like maybe there's a place where insects have been building giant hives or whatever it may be. I don't know. You could use this for all kind of stuff to give it like a fey look. I made some purple ones, purple and blue ones for the Underdark one time. You have a lot of options. And really, this just is something really cheap and quick and easy to make to fill out your terrain set. So stuff like this is nice because it's low effort and it's high yield. Like without putting much into this, I'm going to make some really cool terrain, and it's satisfying because instant gratification is one of our favorite things, and you can get a really, really nice looking result with almost no effort. And that's important because, especially if you get into slumps, which, you know, everyone gets into slumps, I'm sure, when you're crafting. But when you get in these slumps, projects like this that just you can't fail too easily are great. I guess you could fail them if you're in a bad enough slump or you just something didn't go right. A little bit more paint. Here we go. You know, you could do it like a zenithal for different colors, or, you know, give it different highlights. You could like do this in black and maybe do a mist of gray and maybe a mist of brown and then do really thin watered out paints. There's a lot of cool techniques you could probably do. But I don't really like to spend a whole lot of effort or thought into doing things. I just thought to myself, I'm having a fight in a cave and I'd like to add some more stalagmites than I have and some bigger ones because a lot of mine are very small. And that's just what I wanted to do. Get this little piece of whatever the shit that is cleaned up there. Alright. So, you guys don't have to do this, but I have to because I'm on film. I gotta hurry here. I'm gonna get some my hot air gun. Now, you don't have to use baking soda on this and super glue. You could use Elmer's and sand or whatever you really wanted to do, but I like this kind of quickly done. And these aren't dry all the way, you'll see. There's a little bit of silver showing through, but I'm not super worried about it because it won't be real noticeable, especially when I clear coat them at the end. So what we're going to do is get a medium gray. I'm using granite gray, or I'm sorry, pewter gray. And my pewter gray is a little wet. Well, I have two. This one's wet. There's no consistency in Walmart paint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get just kind of a big dopey brush. Once I find one. Here we go. I'm going to get a big dopey brush and just kind of, and this is going to pick up any of the wet I have that I didn't, dry all the way, and distribute that around and just create a different tone. And that's okay, just a little variation here. Pick up some of that wet paint. And it's just going to create some different layers and different shades. Nothing too extravagant. Something like that. Give me a good start. Now I'm going to dry this with the air gun again. So in every cave, depending on where you're at in your world, you're going to have different kinds of rock and stone, and you're going to have different types of rock. Like you'll have igneous, or you'll have sedimentary and stuff, But for me, to keep things simple, I kind of just do the same basic theme. I do a dark, a medium, and then a light, and then maybe I'll do some browns or yellows or something, so that all my stuff kind of goes together. Oh, excuse me. And sometimes I'll use a green. Not always. So I'm just going to get a little bit of this gray and lighten this up significantly with this. And I don't want a whole lot on my brush. And this is going to create a nice contrast on that. I'll use that around the bottoms to pick up any of the higher terrain or rocks. I'm going to hit that rock real well. Okay. I'm going to come back again in some spots that I think were a little dark yet. Okay. Something like that. And then I want like a tan color. So I have this khaki here, and I'm just going to get my khaki. I'm going to get a tiny dab of that. I'm going to mix in with that gray. And I'm not hitting it everywhere with that. I'm just hitting it in some spots to give it a little bit different of a look. Alright, so I'm done with that brush. I would like to make my actual rocks on the ground stand out a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a really light gray and a smaller brush. And this is called Country Gray. This is just another Walmart color. I'm just get a drip of that on there. That's really wet. That's what she said. And I'm just going to get a soft makeup brush again. Whoops, knocking shit all over the place. I'm just going to lighten that up a little bit. And I might bring a little bit up on here just for fun. Then I had that one with no rock. I'll hit a couple little spots with that just to lighten it up. Just to make it a little more interesting. Maybe I'll tap a little bit on the ground here. Create a little variation. Alright, and you can be done right there. So I have one more thing I'm going to do. And that's just because I want these to look a little interesting. I'm going to bring a green color. And I have this English Ivy green. I'm just going to get a tiny dab of this. And a really soft brush. And I'm dipping my brush in my paint water. I'm getting that. I'm just going to kind of dab that around in some cracks, especially if I saw any tinfoil sticking out. I'm going to really hit those cracks with this super watered down green and let it kind of leach in there. There was a piece of tinfoil sticking out right in there. Right in there. Get some more water. You make this as thin as you want, really. It'll give it a green tone when it dries. And this could look like moss or lichen or mold or whatever you need it to. Or you can just have it for some color variation. You could do this in like oranges and reds too. Like when I did some of my Wild West terrain, I think I played with some of that stuff. But I don't put an enormous amount of time into this usually. Just if it's feeling satisfying and I'm enjoying doing it, I might. But I don't go out of my way trying to do too much with it. I kind of do want to do a brown on here, but we don't want to make this video too long. Alright. And if these were outside, you could probably do some flocking too, but inside I don't feel the need. Something like this is going to do real nice and fill out my cave and add some stuff for creatures to hide behind and for my party to use as cover or concealment. I'll hit these with a quick clear coat, and then any gloss that's on there will go away. So if there's any tinfoil shining through, it'll dull it and make it less noticeable. If you were really motivated, you could hit those with a wash and highlight them again. But this is exactly how I want mine to look, because they'll go with some of the other terrain I have that's older. The problem is when you learn new techniques, you don't want to have a bunch of old shit and then a bunch of new shit, because you're just wasting. So there you go. Tinfoil, game board pieces, a couple little rocks. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, leave me a comment, and I'll see you next time.